Hey guys, Dazzler Magic here, and first of all, if you hear thunder in the background of the video, that's because there's thunder in the background of the video. If I didn't say it, the entire comment section would be filled with, "Hey Des, did you know that there's thunder in your video?" No, I didn't notice that 120 decibel shockwaves are shaking my apartment. No, I didn't notice at all. Anyway, this is my new deck. It's basically Mechanized Revel and Riches with Torment of Hailfire, just ultra high X value bombing. It's fun. I like it. It's not that powerful. It is a little bit hard to beat. I mean, I guess I'll just call it playable. Maybe a 7 out of 10 level deck. So if it looks fun, you're like, yeah, I'd love to play this, then go for it. Build it. It is a riot. And it has a pretty high win rate online, but it has weaknesses. It gets beat. It's really slow. It's kind of dull. It kind of drags a game out. So if you're not into that, you know, whatever. But if you like really big amounts of mana and outrageous board states, this is for you for sure. But otherwise, yeah, it's not for everybody, and it's not like just gonna win everything and sweep every FNM, but you should win a lot with it. So like I said, Mechanized Production, Revel and Riches, and then Torment. So let's go in that order here. Mechanized is an enchant artifact you control. At the beginning of your upkeep, create a copy of it, and then if you have 8 or more of any one artifact, you win. Revel and Riches is whenever a creature an opponent controls dies, create a treasure, and then if you have 10 treasures during your upkeep, you win. So those are like the backup win conditions, believe it or not. The real one is Torment, because, well, you're going to use this to clone a treasure or cultivators, and then you're going to use this to well, create treasures, duh. And they feed into Torment. So you just sack all your treasures, tap all your clone stuff, and all your land, everything, and then just hit X for like 10, and there's almost no coming back from that. I mean, that's 30 life minus 3 for everything they get rid of from their hand or from the field. So if you're not familiar, oh boy, I just saw the flash. Get ready for this one. Duck and cover. Anyway, repeat the following process X times. Each opponent loses 3 life unless they sacrifice a non-land permanent or discard a card. So yeah, I mean, even for like 5, I mean, just think about that. They could just take 15, and if you haven't hit them yet, it's like, whatever, nothing changed. I mean, if you can't swing for 5 damage, which with this deck you probably can't, honestly, then whatever. I mean, cool, you got them closer to losing, kind of, but you didn't really affect the board state. But if you start dipping in so low that they're like, okay, I gotta have at least like 6 points of life left. I mean, I can't go down that low, geez. They're gonna have to start ditching, 3 cards out of hand or 4 permanents from in play that aren't land, by the way. So one of the best spells in the game right now. I love it. So let's start with the mana base. We got Drowned Catacomb. Single check land. I love it. It's perfect. We got Islands and Swamps. And then Memorial. So this one, it does come in tapped, and that's why I don't like it. But it taps for blue, so whatever. It's an island, yay. And you pay 5 and sack it and draw 2 cards. So like late game, if you're running out of stuff to do, this is it. In an emergency, you got like a bunch of treasures, but nothing to hit them with. Okay, you do this and hopefully pull something better. Honestly, usually you just pay with 5 lands. 6 lands, though, because this one counts, and it goes away. So it's like break glass in case of emergency, and there's 2 cards inside the glass. By the way, I don't have Fetid Heath in here because even if you're like, oh, I have 11 lands in play on turn 20, oh, I better cycle it. No, you need that land in play. Trust me. The bigger the mana, the bigger the numbers, the better. So you would never cycle it, and you would never want it to come in tapped, or you have effectively lost that turn. So Fetid Heath, completely out. I hope that's the name of it. Whatever the cycling crap land is that's in this color. So we've got Battle at the Bridge, because you're going to need some removal. I mean, these are removal colors here. Improvise, which is hilarious. Your artifacts can be tapped to pay an additional 1 colorless, or I should say generic, and then target creature gets negative X until end of turn. You gain X life. It's basically the best removal spell in this entire deck. It's dirt cheap. You can take out like a 3/1 for 2 mana. I mean, it's really good, and you can take out a 10/10 very easily, even one with Indestructible. You could take down Galta. You could take down the giant dinosaurs. You could take down anything with this in this deck. I mean, even if you're taking out like a 3/3, you're going to end up feeding in like 10 mana into it. And that is funny to me because then you also gain 10 life. So I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. And you can tap your treasures to improvise. Yeah, that's fun. So Torment of Hailfire, we went through there. Okay, so Direfleet Hoarder. This is in her just because it needs a low end. It needs something to do. This isn't the world's greatest treasure generator, but if I did nothing but that, it would be like 4 and 5 mana across the board, and you would just lose to a fast deck. So this is actually really nice on turn 2. So when it dies, create a treasure. Simple. It's a 2-1 for 2. No pirate synergy. That's a shame, but it is what it is. Then we've got the absolute king of the deck, Contraband Kingpin. If you bring this out on turn 2, you just stalled out the game because it's a 1-4 with lifelink. Mathematically, not a whole lot early game should swing against this. I mean, this will survive like anything. I mean, it's just so good. Even the new Wizard's Lightning can't kill this. So lifelink 1-4, you might even be able to swing with them because they just, they block them, cool, you gain 1. They don't block them, cool, you still gain 1. I mean, 4 toughness, what are they going to do? But whenever an artifact enters the battlefield under your control for any reason in any way, scry 1. Oh my gosh, you get 2 of these out, or you scry into one of the other ones, or turn 2-3 you drop them. Oh my gosh, you will scry 6 times a turn. I mean, you'll have to watch the gameplay because you'll never get how this deck works until you see it in action. So let's keep going. Ruthless Knave. So this is just like, it's a 3-2 body on the field. This deck needed something that didn't cost 4. But also you can pay 3, sacrifice a creature, and create 2 colorless treasure artifact tokens with, well, you know what they do. And then if you really had to, sack 3 treasures to draw a card, but that's like memorial level emergency, I wouldn't recommend that. But do keep it in mind, if you're all set up to nuke somebody and you have nothing in your hand to hit him with, you're gonna need to do that. Now he can legally target himself, so that's kind of nice. Like, oh, I just don't need creatures anymore. Or I can't swing. He has a 0/6 wall, or all of his creatures are flying, whatever. It's just like, okay, boom, kill it. He doesn't have any truly recurring triggers, though, but if you absolutely had to, you could sack a Direfleet Hoarder, and there you go, you get 3 treasures, or Contraband Kingpin, which would be like the last one I would ever do, or a Crude Cultivators. You could do that. Otherwise, 3, cool, this is crew 3, okay, cool. There's a little bit of synergy, but I did drop him to 3 because he's not the greatest, but you could activate it like 3 times and get 6 treasures and then be all set to just absolutely drop the hammer on the person the next turn. So, like I said, Cultivators Caravan. This is a classic combo with Mechanized Production. I saw this, somebody played it against me, and I'm like, this is just broken. I gotta do this. Completely different deck, though, by the way. So, it comes out, and it's not a creature, and then it says, tap, add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool. So you drop it in for 3, and you immediately get the access to that 1 mana of any color. So it's color fixing, it's mana ramp, it's a target for Mechanized. It's a 5/5 threat on the field for 3. I mean, this is just good. This card has always been good, and I think it's flirting with like $1. So yeah, it's not a 25-cent bulk rare. People actually play it. So let's skip over Mechanized. We got Tezzeret, because of course, I mean, duh. So his first ability is create a colorless artifact token named Ethereum Cell, which has tap, sacrifice this artifact, add 1 mana of any color. And keep in mind, assuming that those 2 are phrased correctly, which I don't know, I feel like it wasn't playing that way, but I don't know. You can't tap them for battle at the bridge and then sack them like you could for Scions. You have to tap them and sack them, and I think they did that on purpose. But for all intents and purposes, this is a treasure, just not for Revel and Riches. So it's just the same thing. And then, yeah, it triggers Contraband King. So then -2, this is huge, recurring removal, because this deck really needs removal in some cases. So target creature gets +X attack, but -X toughness until end of turn, where X is the number of artifacts you control. Usually by the time you want to get rid of something big, that is like 7+. I mean, it's huge. It will not survive it. And he comes out with 5 loyalties, so you can do this twice, and he'll still be alive. Oh, I love Tezzeret. So -7, this, I mean, I almost wouldn't. I would just continue to ramp up with +1. But if you think it would be funny, because it would be, -7, you get an emblem with at the beginning of combat on your turn. Target artifact you control becomes an artifact creature with base power and toughness 5/5. And it stays that way for the end of the game, in case you didn't quite read into that correctly. So, yeah, you permanently, every single turn, during the beginning of combat, turn a treasure or cultivators or whatever you want, an Ethereum Cell, into a 5/5 creature permanently, yeah, you're going to win eventually. And then you can still, you know, sack it, tap it, whatever. It still is what it is. So yeah, Tezzeret, pretty damn good. And he's only like $3-4, so not bad. So we got contract killing. The only reason that there's only 2 is because it costs 5 and it's a sorcery. I mean, it's a little weak, it's a little rough. But destroy target creature, then create 2 treasures. Real simple. And then if you want to pretend that this is a 3-cost kill spell and feed 2 treasures into it, and then get 2 treasures out of it, cool. Yeah, there you go. So early to mid game, it doesn't really cost 5 if the deck's working the way it's supposed to. But late game, okay, you just have 5 mana, you know, in lands, and then you tap them, and there you go. You up your treasure count. So the whole point is to, for one turn, have an enormous amount of mana available to cast Torment. So then we got Deadeye Plunderers. Once again, not great. I mean, they're kind of a win condition. They're backup win condition. They're kind of a recurring trigger or recurring ability at least. So it gets +1/+1 for each artifact you control. You could drop this in, there'll be a 10/10. I mean, that is like game ending. But also, you pay 4 and then create a colorless treasure artifact token with, well, why do I keep reading it? You guys know what treasure artifacts do. So yeah, it's pretty simple. I mean, you just drop him in, he's huge, they can't kill him, you block with him, and then you continue to create treasures. And if you have 8 mana available in lands, like, why didn't you win the game yet? But you could drop in 2, he doesn't tap. And then of course spell Swindle, because duh, counter target spell and create X colorless treasure artifact tokens where X is that spell's converted mana cost. If they're casting a 6-cost spell and you're completely tapped out on lands, you can sack 5 treasures and get 6 treasures back. I love this. Like, 5 is high, but is it really 5? I mean, is anything really the cost it is in this deck? Not really, because you get a refund in the form of treasures. That's why it looks really high cost and slow, but it's not. And then the sideboard, I've got 2 more and 2 more contract killings, depending upon what you need to stop. Then we got Bontus, because you don't really have that much on the field, and if you do, it's probably a Cultivators Caravan, which is currently not a creature, or it's just some throwaway creature that you can live without and just whatever. So it's a 3-cost board wipe. I mean, there you go. And then, oh, lands don't untap, boo-hoo. You got treasures, who cares? Then we got Never to Return. I mean, that's just point removal. Like, they're running you over with mid-level creatures. You need to destroy them independently. You would pull 2 spell Swindles, throw this in. It also takes down a Planeswalker. Return is cool because you generate a 2/2 zombie, so why not? But you could even take out, like, the 2 Deadeyes that cost 5 and put in this, because you won't even have a late game if they're swarming you with, like, I don't know, mid-level white creatures or something. That's what this deck has problems with. And then Negate, if they're just playing something spell heavy. So, you know, all Planeswalkers, Approach of the Second Sun, whatever. You're going to need more than 2 spell Swindles. And you could just take out all the Battle at the Bridge and the contracts and just go spell Swindle Negate, which, yeah, it'd be a 5 and 6 swap, but whatever. But then you'd have 7 counter spells, which should be, you know, pretty reasonable. And then never if if that runs Dovinbon or some other, Gideon or whatever. So that's the deck. I mean, it is what it is. It probably looks super janky and unlikely to work, but I very much encourage you to watch the gameplay. I might just play a couple super quick games against the computer because, if I play against a human, it's like, hey, look, it can win, like as if I'm not self-selecting the game where I won. I'm telling you it can win because I went online and I won about 5 out of 7 against 7 completely different decks. So the only thing this lost to was Approach of the Second Sun, and he had 1 card left in his library. He almost decked himself. So this really drew out the game, and it really made it hard to be beaten. Other than that, I mean, it beat counters, it beat dinosaurs. I think I played against vampires. I played against some stuff where I beat them so quick I don't actually know what they were going for. Maybe something related to knights. I don't know. But yeah, this can win really quick. If they're sitting there spamming, dirt cheap throwaway, blah, whatever, burn deck, and then you get them with Tormented, there's nothing to show for it on the field. But if they're running like a life gain token generation, you're going to have trouble beating them with Torment, which is why you'll just turtle, kill the biggest threats, kill the flyers, kill Aerial Osmander, whatever they got, and then just mechanize. 8 and win. Revel, 10 and win. Just go for it. The funny thing is you could actually drop the 3 Revels because there's so little removal in this deck, and you're not going to get their creatures killed that often. go 4 Mechanized and just for the cloning, not even for the win condition, and then just go all in control. Just add even more kill spells, maybe even main board never, or some other treasure generating, you know, whatever, and just go absolutely all in blitz to Torment. The problem with that is you can win with Torment, you can win with Mechanized, you can win with Revel. If they start name jamming it with that Gideon card or Dispossess or whatever, you're in trouble because now you can't win. If they name Torment, you better go for Mechanized or Revel. So you kind of do need them, but you kind of don't. And in a pinch, you could sideboard out Revel and do just fine with Mechanized. It's very, very rare, I'd say maybe 1 in 4 games, where you win because of these, unless you detect that you're getting so close to it that you just switch your strategy to just turtle, full defense. I don't care what I do to them. Everything is about delaying. All I need to do is get 8 Cultivators Caravans or 8 treasures, and I win. So just keep that in mind. Watch the gameplay, and I just want to show how the card interactions work and how, you know, the generation works, the decisions, what you should go for, what you shouldn't. So I'll just play against the computer, and they'll play like an idiot as usual. And of course I'm going to win, but the point is, here's how my cards in my deck work together. I don't know why people are still like, oh, he just plays against the AI and he thinks he's so good. No, I'm showing how the deck works, you moron. Are you really that stupid? Oh my god. And of course I could make this entire video about the apparent intelligent level of a lot of my haters, but it's really self-evident, so why don't I just go record some gameplay? There's at least like a dozen card interactions that I have not shown in this video, have an outline, but you'll see them. And like I said, this deck plays completely differently in an actual gameplay scenario than it looks like it does in this deck list. Also, you cannot start the game without 3 mana unless you have certain cards in your hand. Little bit of a drawback with this deck, but that's, you will get nowhere quick and misplay the entire deck if you don't know that. So please watch the gameplay, and I'll see you guys next video.